Joining me now is Wayne Madsen, InfoWars correspondent and, of course, publisher of the Wayne Madsen Report. I want to talk to Wayne about what we see in terms of the reactions to this election. We have to understand this is something that is far deeper, far more orchestrated than simply the reactions of a lot of spoiled millennials, social justice warriors out there. This has all the hallmarks of a George Soros color revolution. And to break that down for us is Wayne Madsen. Thank you, Wayne.
Hi, good to be with you. Yeah, if you look at the history of these color or themed revolutions, you see that in many countries, including Ukraine, twice, where Viktor Yanukovych was elected in 2004, and he was elected again later. Immediately, the Soros people, through his Open Society Institute and Foundation, and associated groups like the National Endowment for Democracy, which is nothing more than a cipher for the CIA, began street demonstrations, massive street demonstrations that in both cases in Ukraine resulted in the overthrow of the duly elected government.
Yeah, he admitted to funding, to financing the Maidan Square Revolution 2013-2014.
That's right, and he also funded the 2004 revolution, the Orange Revolution in Ukraine in 2004, which saw this guy, Viktor Yushchenko, who did not win that election, actually becoming the president, even though Yanukovych won. The first recorded incident of a themed revolution was in the 90s, again, funded with Soros money, called the Bulldozer Revolution against Slobodan Milosevic in what was then rump Yugoslavia, what was left of that country. And we saw it play out again, I said, in Ukraine. We saw the Rose Revolution in Georgia that put this guy Saakashvili in power, another Soros acolyte. We've seen similar revolutions, the Arab Spring, for example, the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia, the Lotus Revolution in Egypt, the Green Revolution, which was aborted in Iran, Cedar Revolution, another failed revolution in Lebanon, the Olive Tree Revolution, a failed attempt in Palestine, goes on and on. And then there were attempts in Russia, the White Revolution. And right now, China has cracked down on an attempted revolution for Hong Kong to become independent, called the Umbrella Revolution. So
they love to seize on a, we got this pattern here where they love to seize on a color. It's typically done with students, typically done with funding from the U.S., CIA, whatever, but also with non-governmental organizations that are run by George Soros. They like to pick these colors and everything. And we also see, don't we, Wayne, a pattern where they come out and they question the legitimacy of an election. We got all these people out there saying, oh, it's the Electoral College. Oh, she won the popular vote, but this Electoral College is going to put him in. That's their subtle way of planting that seed. Well, it's not quite legitimate. And then the other side of that is they revolt against somebody that they paint as authoritarian. So you see both of these tactics being put out against Donald Trump at this point in time, don't you?
Yeah, and the day after the election, the morning after, when Hillary and Bill Clinton came out at the New Yorker hotel before her concession speech, you saw Bill Clinton wearing a purple tie. You saw Hillary wearing a sort of purple lapels and a purple blouse. And a bunch of the reporters there said, hey, what's going on? What's this? And the spokespeople for the Clintons put the word out, well, that's a coming together of blue America and red America. You have purple America. I didn't buy it. I said, there's something going on here. These Clintons. And sure enough, we saw these demonstrations break out, and someone alerted me, somebody that reads my website alerted me and said, look, well, here's the pictures of those arrested in Portland, Oregon, and several of these mugshots, the people were wearing some sort of purple something, a purple shirt, a purple scarf, but it was quite clear that we were we were getting a taste of our own medicine, in this case, a purple revolution.
Yeah, we look at this and the tactics, like I pointed out, Soros's involvement, funding it, the questioning of the legitimacy of the election, the authoritarian claims, and said, I wonder what color this is going to be. Will it be black? Will it be rainbow? He pointed out, hey, it'll probably be purple. And we've seen Obama putting out the narrative continually, even as he's meeting with Merkel. Hey, we've got to understand you can't just do this alone. We need to have concession. We need to have compromise. We all need to come together. That's the way they're going to put this out there. Have we ever heard that from Barack Obama throughout his administration? Absolutely not. He would come out and say, I'm not going to wait for Congress to ratify or the Senate to ratify this treaty, this Paris Accord, or I don't want to wait for them to do this, or I tried to get them to do that. I'm just going to do it by executive order. I don't really care what Congress says. So they've never been about compromise. They've never been about building a consensus. And yet that's their pushback to say, hey, you don't really have any authority to govern. And if you do push back and you do follow the mandate and the agenda and work on the issues that people elected you to do, we're going to say you're authoritarian.
Yeah, we certainly see Obama doing that overseas right now. In Germany with Angela Merkel hyping up the EU and NATO. He was in Greece with the prime minister there, again, hyping up all these international organizations. That at the same time, we see Russia withdrawing from the International Criminal Court. Philippines may follow. The Brexit. He was also kind of like when he was with Merkel, saying, "Well, we want to see a smooth Brexit." It's clear that what Obama's doing now in this last trip, he's trying to shore up these globalist contrivances like the EU, NATO, the International Criminal Court, and these failing trade programs. He mentioned the transatlantic trade agreement, which is basically dead on arrival, and the really very ill Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah, well, they pronounced that as dead. And I thought it was interesting that they waited until after the election to pronounce that dead. We were told by the mainstream media, hey, there's one thing that the two of them agree on, and that is TPP isn't going to go through. Well, if that was the case, then they could have said before the election that TPP was dead. But they waited until after the election because they knew that if Hillary had been elected, TPP would have gone through. But I want to finish up with one last thing and get your comment on this. In a Free Thought article talking about George Soros' connection, pointing out the fact that his Open Society Foundation was calling on people to organize in these various cities, putting themselves at the center of this, organizing this. They also pointed out that in the WikiLeaks emails of Hillary Clinton that they put in their archives, we can see that George Soros and Hillary Clinton were talking about things that needed to be done in Albania. George Soros said to Hillary Clinton, two things need to be done urgently. We need to bring the full weight of the international community to bear on the prime minister there. We need to appoint a senior European official as mediator. And then he told Hillary Clinton, three people that would be acceptable to him. He is the puppet master. He has used Hillary Clinton before, and we should be very aware of this history as they try to gaslight this and say, oh, you're just conspiracy theorists. No, we've seen the historical pattern of the way Soros has operated for a couple of decades, at least more than 2 decades probably, and then Hillary Clinton more recently.
Yeah, I would like to see President Trump look at applying the Logan Act from the late 18th century, which was an act, a law which forbids U.S. citizens from engaging in their own private foreign policies. Now,
yes,
it's questionable whether when Clinton was Secretary of State and Obama, that they weren't like authorizing Soros, but that would be very, very hard to prove under Trump, who's basically saying we need to disengage from a lot of this type of stuff overseas, and there have been some attempts to implement or at least bring into force the Logan Act against individuals, but it would be I think Soros is one of the reasons why those founders passed the Logan Act. They were trying to prevent private citizens from getting,
right,
for example, the U.S. involved in a war.
We're about out of time, but you're absolutely right. And I think we ought to see some of the people who are powerful, like CEOs and Hollywood executives who call for violence, say we need to fund violence, we need to assassinate Trump. They need to be treated like the same way that they're treating people who tweet that stuff out from their mom's basement. Thank you so much for joining us, Wayne Madsen, Wayne Madsen Report, and a frequent InfoWars correspondent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. It's such a game changer if you'll just research iodine for yourself. It's a fact that the federal government in the Midwest back in the 20s mandated a grungier form of iodine to the salt because people had low IQs, they had huge goiters, major problems directly connected to it. There are some studies that show a 15-point increase. Others show even higher. But it really is crazy to realize that this is something that is so deficient in our food chain, so deficient in our played out fields where different crops are being grown, but the federal government isn't educating people and telling them about it. That's why for a limited time, I want to encourage everyone to go to InfoWarsLife.com and get 20% off on the best nascent iodine out there from our research, truly pure Survival Shield X2. Again, that's Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Thank you for joining us in this brief news update. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.